I think it's so cool that we're elevating a lot of different talent to kind of get them into this industry because, in the end, it is a very lucrative industry.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Commercial Real Estate Secrets, where I'm your host, Austin Hare. Our guest is Priyanki Amroliwala. She's the Senior Manager of Talent and Acquisition at 42 North Dental. And so we're taking a little bit of a detour today from the traditional commercial real estate aspect, and we're talking a lot more about the challenges that we're facing in the marketplace, specifically on dealing with hiring and in healthcare and dental and what people are seeing right now. And so before we get into all that, I just want to get to the audience to get a chance to know you, Priyanki. And so first of all, thanks for coming on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me, Austin.
Yeah, so as your last name kind of indicates, you are from India, from descent, and so what is that like? It's like I think it's great how many Indians that are come over to the U.S. and get involved in dentistry. That obviously like how did that shape your childhood and your growing up?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The observation's correct. There are a lot of Indian people in dentistry. I mean, there's if you look at India, there's a population of about a billion of us. So,
That's true.
um, and coming from a very cultured Indian family or a very traditional Indian family, typically a lot of our parents do encourage us to have successful. We don't. I don't. Success is determined in many different ways, but they always definitely guide us or push us, I would say, to be a little bit more on the healthcare side of things. So that's kind of why you'll see a lot of Indian dentists. So there's a lot of Indian
Hmm.
physicians, a lot of Indian dentists, a lot of kind of Indian people in the healthcare realm of things. So that's kind of how
Yeah,
we were
that makes sense.
guided. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we were guided since
So,
we were kids.
were you
So
born in India?
I was born in India, yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then you were young when you moved over.
Yeah, I was 4 years old, about to turn five. So like literally, I went to kindergarten for a few months in India, and then my parents, quote unquote, hit the jackpot or hit the lotto, got the green card to
Nice.
come here. So we came here basically. I started my kindergarten here, so we came in August 1989, and I
So,
started kindergarten that September. So
wow, that's cool. So is English your second language?
English is technically my second language. Yes.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
Yes.
So, what's it like growing up with, first generation Indian parents?
Uh, it's great. Like it's good it's good and it's bad. But obviously, I think the goods overcome the bads all day, every day. I think growing up, I did have a lot of things that were very different in my household than what the quote unquote American kids would have. I mean, when it comes to food, obviously, my neighbors would be eating meatloaf and like chicken nuggets and stuff like that. So I grew up in a vegetarian family.
Oh,
So
wow.
I grew up in a vegetarian family. So I remember when I was in school, if I ever had to get something from the cafeteria, I think nowadays the options are a lot more. But at that time, growing up in the 90s, I think I would probably get, if I was lucky, I would have like a grilled cheese option maybe once a week or a pizza once a week, and then that was it. So I was basically bringing lunch from home all the time, which is fine. And I remember all my classmates and people that would sit together in the cafeteria. They'd be eating cheeseburgers and hamburgers, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is so yummy." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like I never really was tempted to have it because you already know it's instilled in your mind that you're not allowed to eat it. But I remember like being in the first grade, and my best friend who was sitting next to me was having a hamburger, and she's like, "I double, triple, quadruple dog dare you to have a piece of this hamburger." And so I did, but it's just something but it's not like when you've never really had it before or have grown up having it, you don't really care for it, and that's exactly
Hmm,
how I felt about it. So,
that's
um,
funny.
yeah, so
So
that
you're
was
still
different. I mean,
vegetarian.
yeah, I'm still a vegetarian. That is
Okay.
correct.
And
Yes,
was your husband, he's Indian as well?
my husband is Indian. Yes,
What was it like?
yes.
So, did they do the traditional kind of prearranged wedding type thing for you guys, or did you meet
No,
independently? Like,
we met independently. So my husband and I met independently. So we technically didn't have an arranged marriage. But having said that, um, there is a lot of madness that goes behind it. So you still have to get approvals from your mom and dad, and then
mm,
from his mom and dad, and his family, and my family. So we had to go through that long process, which is not easy. So you go through that. Finally, And honestly, in the end, whether you get an approval or not, you just got to go for it. Like either you do it or you don't. So that's kind of the option that we presented to our parents. And that was it. And then
What was it like, when you were getting ready, when you were a kid growing up, having Indian parents, trying to date, stuff like that?
there was no dating. There's no dating scene whatsoever. So, like in high school, when everyone's dating and you have all these friends that are going out on dates, and then they're going to prom with a date, going to prom with a date, and going to homecoming and all that stuff. Not allowed in my house. Number one, it's not that I was restricted to go to prom or homecoming. My parents weren't that strict, so that was good. But definitely, like, you couldn't have any boys calling the house whatsoever. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. That was it. Like, no
So if a
one.
boy called
No.
you get in trouble?
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
hilarious.
Yeah, I wouldn't even bother. Like, but you know what, Austin? I can go on. When there's a will, there's a way, so you can figure things out.
Okay.
So I would figure out things to kind of work around that. But technically, yeah, my parents were not okay with it.
Well,
Correct.
what's one of the come? I doubt your parents are going to listen to this podcast. Can you share at least one secret that you use?
Yeah, if my parents hear this, they're gonna kill me. My mom and dad hear this, they are gonna kill me. But my parents would go to work basically like, I don't know, 8 to 5. So when I needed a boy to call me, they'd call me between those
That's
hours.
funny.
Like, yeah, like especially during summer vacations, I was home and they'd be at work. So then that was like a perfect time. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, there's ways around it. Oh, that's great.
yeah,
And
there's
actually,
ways
it's kind
around
of
it.
ironic because we're talking about ways getting around the madness of the hiring situation right now. So it
Yes.
sounds like you've been doing that from a very early age, is looking for workarounds.
I never really thought about it that way, but I guess you're right. Yes, for sure. So.
Oh, cool. So, all right. Yeah, you're senior manager of talent acquisition at 42 North Dental. And so, how long have you had this role?
I've been at this organization for over 6 years.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So, you've been in it, that's, quite a bit of time. I'm sure you've seen a lot of different climate changes. Actually, yeah, 6 years ago to be 2015. So, I mean, I remember the labor market really started becoming a problem back in 2019. We're just hard to hire people, and the wages were just going up so much. And then obviously
Yeah.
COVID happened, and then people didn't
Yes.
want to work at all. And we had to, now you got to pay a lot more money, or not necessarily a lot more money, but you had to be really creative about it. So it's probably like
Absolutely.
2015. I mean, that was a different time for hiring, right? Like,
It
how much has
was.
changed between now and then?
I mean, if you talked to me in 2015, I would have no idea what a sign-on bonus is, you know?
Wow.
And now everywhere you go, sign-on bonus, sign-on bonus, sign-on bonus. So the word sign-on bonus was not, I don't think it was in any of our dictionaries on what a sign-on bonus was up until just the past few years. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's yeah, it's insane, really. But I
Yeah,
mean, you can. I think the problem is right now you can have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, right? Like, do you want to
exactly.
reflect on the past and see how things have been and complain about it, or
Or you move forward with
do you want to
it. Yeah,
adapt and evolve, right? There's really no choice there when you look at it like that. And so, what are like the
exactly.
hiring challenges right now? Like, what positions are the most challenging to find, and how do we approach that?
Okay, so I want to first start by saying, Austin, like even pre-pandemic, as you know, it was really hard even in 2018, 2019, especially in the dental arena, like to find dentists and specialists and all that stuff, and even hygienists has always been hard. But of course, the pandemic changed everything because a lot of people just completely left dentistry. They completely left healthcare. A lot of people went back to school. A lot of people stayed at home for kids' remote learning. A lot of people are like, you know what? We can live on one income between my spouse and I, so that's what we're doing. Like, people just change up their mindsets, and it was just something like we never really anticipated that. Like, we never thought that a disease or like a virus, like the coronavirus, we talked about like health, we knew about all that stuff, but we never realized that one thing could change our actual mindsets on other things in life, right? So pretty crazy, but yeah, I would say continuously the biggest challenges are still to find dentist, specialist, hygienist, all that stuff. I mean, been told that like even assistants are really hard to find. So are front desk. So they're all equally like they're all pretty hard. But if you wanted me to rank it, it's definitely I would say number one is probably specialty, then dentist, then hygienist is what I
Okay.
would rank it as. Yeah.
Um, and so like Yeah, it is hard, right? We obviously, but it's not impossible. And
Exactly.
so,
Nothing's
um,
impossible. Nothing is
yeah,
impossible.
what are some things that I guess you guys are doing and that you would recommend doing for people looking to hire any one of those three that you mentioned?
I would start by saying like, and I've seen this consistently within my organization, and also because I'm just well connected in the industry in healthcare and dentistry as well. It's funny, people talk about how they need to hire and that they're really desperate, and they want to do what they can to hire, yet I don't see it. Like, I don't see people working hard towards it. So, for everyone that's listening, it's simple. Like, you don't really have to quote unquote break your bank account to like go overboard on a sign on bonus and, hire crazy amounts of dollars. Like, yes, you're probably going to have to increase it because the wages have generally gone up. But having said that, it's all about the experience. It's all about giving a candidate a great experience, because life is not always about money. Like, yes, we
Hmm.
all want to make a lot of money, but it's also about genuinely being comfortable, being happy at your employer. So, when someone, let's just say, for instance, if you're interviewing a hygienist, let's just say, or a dentist or an assistant, doesn't matter what position it is, because they're all created equal in my world. So the way that I see it is, when someone steps into your practice, you've got to treat them like someone steps into your home, like they're a guest in your home, right?
Mm.
So that technically is your home. If you're working there, if you're a dental practice owner, and if you're working at a DSO, that still technically is quote unquote like a part of you, like your home. So if someone's walking in, you've got to treat them really kindly, make them feel like they're welcome, see if they have any specific questions, give them a nice tour of your practice. I would say always start with a tour of your practice, then sit down and then kind of get to know them. Like the way that Austin, like you and I had icebreakers, like you asked me about my background, stuff like that. Like, ask the same thing during these interviews. Like, don't just go right into like grill and drill questions. Like, it just doesn't work anymore. Like, sorry, there's a lot of competition, and all you have to do is set yourself apart. And the way that you do it is like simple kindness. Like, it sounds really silly, but it's absolutely true. Kindness goes a long, long way. And if you can like treat these people with dignity and respect and show them what a great place you are, like just due to cleanliness of your practice, due to like the meet and greet and the friendliness of your staff, you being the dental owner or the dental practice leader or whatnot, you have to show them that as well. All that will go a long way. And I talked to like a lot of I would say old school dentists or whatnot. Um, and they have all these like very technical questions. And though there's nothing wrong with that, definitely ask them and still continue to assess on quality. Never ever sacrifice on quality, but figure out a way to kind of ask those questions without it being so interrogative. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
get to know that person, get to know who they are, introduce yourself, talk about who you are as a leader, your practice philosophy, all that stuff, and then get into like some of the nitty gritty questions, but like allow it to be interactive. Like let that person drive that interview as well. Like, why do you have to drive it? Like, why can't they drive it? There, remember this. Like, another tip is when you're interviewing a hygienist, a dentist, a specialist, an assistant, whatever, they've got a minimum. So if they've applied to one of your jobs through like a job board like Indeed, you're not the only special person that they've applied for. Trust me on that. You are not the only special person. They are looking for a job, and not only have they applied to your job that same morning or that same evening or whenever, they've applied to a minimum of 10 to 15 other jobs in that 30-minute session that they were online. So
Wow.
you are not the only person that they're applying for. And then number two is you're not the only person that they're interviewing with. So most of these hygienists that I talk to, Austin, or like the specialist or dentist or whatever, they have a minimum of 8 to 10 interviews scheduled. So you've got to figure out a way to make yourself stand out. And one of those things is like give them a beautiful experience. Almost give them like, it sounds silly, but it's not, like give them a thank you gift. Like, If you were hosting a party, if you're hosting a big party, like, wouldn't you give them something like a little return gift? Give them something like some cool things from your practice that you think that like would be cool. And whether they take your job or not, they're gonna definitely remember who you are, and they're going to definitely refer their friends to you, or they're going to, like they might sign at another practice, but the day that things are not going well at that other practice, they're going to come right back to you. And it happens to me time and time and time and time again. So I always have candidates that always continuously come back. And it's all about just giving them that beautiful experience. It goes a long way.
Are you
Yeah.
personally conducting a lot of the interviews?
I'm not doing a lot. So basically, I would say I'm the kind of driver in the process. So
Okay.
I get all my execs to do the interviews. Like, for instance, we hire a lot of directors that are equity shareholders within the organization. So all my execs are the ones who are interviewing. So I'm the driver in that process to make sure that they interview and all that. So I do that. Plus, all of our hygienists, our assistants, and like GPs, like associates, all the directors within our organization, they're the ones who are doing those interviews. So I'm kind of like that main driver in that process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's cool. It's funny because I think you mentioned something about it being like it's common sense, right, or just being kind. And it's what I've realized is people have different views of common sense. Like what's commonsensical for some people
Exactly.
is not commonsensical for other people, right? So for some people,
Bingo.
it's commonsensical to track all your expenses and income and
Yeah.
incomes and expense and figure out how much money you're making like granularly, right? For other
Yeah.
people, that's not commonsensical. Like they just see, okay, money's coming in, we're good, right? Like they have to learn to go track their expenses. For some people, it's common sense to say, hey, be kind, like make this a two-way street. Find out about them personally. Like you want to do business with people that you
Exactly.
like. For other people, they say, like it's a novel idea kind of because they've been so focused on the numbers or whatever, and it's not that one
Exactly.
way is right and one way is wrong. It's just that people are naturally different. So that's why I think talking about these things is good because
Oh,
you can
absolutely.
point out things that are like very easy to do. Like it's not a hard thing to do. What you said, like be kind to the person and know that the
They
ball
feel
is
good.
really in their court right now. And
Yeah.
then find out things about them personally. Get to know what type of person they are because not only does that make them feel special, but let's be honest, like you don't want to work with somebody if you're the one hiring, right? If you are
Yeah.
the CEO and executive of any healthcare operation, and really any business anywhere, like why would you
Exactly.
hire somebody who you don't get along with? Why would you hire somebody, bring somebody in your workplace who you don't like on a personal level? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe like I understand you can't be a little bit desperate right now, but even if they're the cheapest, I mean, is it worth the money? Is it worth what it's going to cost you in terms of your culture and your
No.
productivity and all that type
Mhm.
of thing? And so, yeah, I think this is really, I think that's why this is an important conversation. It's really great advice because, if you look at the human needs too, Tony Robbins talks about the human needs, status, significance, all those things are really important too. Like they come in above money. And so if you can make
Absolutely.
somebody feel important, then like you said earlier, money's not the most important thing. Like you're not going to be
Yeah.
able to pay the cheapest, obviously,
Yeah,
but
absolutely. You
would
have to be
you?
competitive, but you don't have to break your bank account and like do the highest salary because it's not always about the highest salary.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and you know what?
How
Actually,
often?
Austin. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, what were you saying?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, how often do you know that you guys have made offers that's not the highest salary that people have chosen, just because they like the culture and they like the environment, stuff like that?
Happens all the time. And here's one thing I do want to be clear about is we are not perfect. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. I have frustrating days, like every day I have frustrating moments every single day. So just trying to like overcome those. Hopefully these podcasts, even my colleagues listen to these podcasts and really understand and realize like how important it is to really treat these candidates with that true red carpet experience because it goes a long way. It really does. It is definitely my mantra.
What's
Um,
an example of a gift? You mentioned like something to give them earlier.
Yeah, it's like it sounds silly, but like just a little bag. Like a lot of people have like little bag with, their logo on it. So just a small bag, a pen, maybe a notepad if they have it. I don't know, like a toothbrush. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's what a dental practice already has and should have, but it's nice to like have it put together really nicely and just give it to them. Like a lot of people have like a stress reliever ball. Like in my company, we love chapstick, so we'll definitely put chapstick in there. So just small things. Again, You're not breaking the bank account. You're not leaving your practice to go do something, although you could, and that would be great. But like, these are things you have around your practice. Just like a nice little, hey, you know what? I realize that it's not easy. You probably have a family and friends and a life outside of work. You're busy working, and you've taken time out of your day to come and meet with us. Like this is a big deal. Thank you. Like just to thank you. Yeah.
One of the other things I want to talk about that's going on in the industry is just as the DSO model and the conglomerations become more prevalent, you're going away from the 4-day, 3-day a week type things. Like I feel like a lot of people growing up saw their dentist work, 3 days a week and hit the golf course, and that's why they wanted to be a dentist and go into this industry.
Yeah.
And so,
Not anymore.
but now it's not like that, right? But that also, like, how do you overcome that as a challenge when you're hiring people too? Because that schedule is obviously awesome, and maybe they've seen places or have worked in the past, like 4 days a week, and now it's like, well, we got to do extended, nights and some
Hours.
weekends and stuff like that.
Oh, Austin, you're hitting my sweet spot. Yes, I see that as a challenge every day. There's a lot of dentists, probably most of them, and specialists, and even hygienists, and assistants, all of them, because they're all trained to be in a dental practice. They're all used to working Monday through Thursday and hitting that golf course right on Friday, or hit the mall, or do whatever you want to do. No judgment. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, me time. So now
Maybe a
it
little
is.
bit of fishing in there too.
Yeah, there is a lot of fishing, absolutely. So the way that we've broken it apart is like what we're doing, and this is my suggestion to everyone, especially in this crazy talent war, is start putting shifts. Like start doing a true shift system, and you've got to be fair. And this is where like I've seen a lot of issues. So the old school dentist or the leader of the practice, they're like, oh, I'm just going to work Monday through Thursday 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and then I'll hire someone else that can do nights and weekends. So my suggestion to everyone here that's listening, if it's possible, is why would you expect that from someone when you yourself aren't doing that? Like that's just not right. Like it's not fair. So if you truly want to open up your practice for those nights and weekends that we're talking about, then you're going to have to give in a little. So you're not going to have to do every night, but as a leader of a practice or as an owner of a practice, you also have to sacrifice and probably do at least 1 or 2 nights yourself. So it's all about lead by example, especially when you're working with millennials and, like these different generations that are coming through. They're confident now more so than ever, and they want a really nice work-life balance. So they're willing to sacrifice, but like if they see that their dental practice owner isn't putting in the hours, and they're bye-bye. They're like, this is not it for me. So
Yeah, and when you say night, how late are you talking?
like our practices are open till 8 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so our practices are open
I
till
get
8 o'clock
that.
at night. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, most people have one night a week they can dedicate, right? If you are the owner, you've been there a long time, you've always worked 9 to 5, like, yeah, I think working one night, like you said,
Exactly.
maybe two, but like, there's probably one night where you can give up. It's only an extra 3 hours, right? It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, and then you're setting the example. I think that's a really smart way to do it.
Yeah, you've just got to lead by example. Again, these are all things that I feel like are quote unquote common sense, but you're absolutely right, Austin, from what you said. We all have different definitions of common sense. So you've
Yeah.
got to lead by example. So if you're going to open up your practice for nights and weekends, you yourself have to open up at least one night yourself, minimum.
Mhm.
And then you yourself have to open up at least one Saturday minimum. So then, and the thing is, you're not going to be able to find talent that's going to just work every night and every Saturday for you. Like, sorry, they're non-existent. They are non-existent. So you're going to have to kind of work with them and get someone to at least work like 2 evenings for you. So 2 nights for you, and then maybe 2 Saturdays, and then the rest of the days they can do like an 8 to 5 or a 9 to 5. Now that sounds like a more healthier balance, a healthier schedule. And like I said, like because of COVID and all that stuff, like you've got to be creative. So if you truly want to win on this war on talent, then start becoming creative with stuff like that. Like again, lead by example. That goes a long way because it just makes them feel bad that you're gonna not work every Saturday, but you're expecting them to work every Saturday.
You think
You're not gonna work
people,
a single night, but you're gonna expect them to work
yeah,
every single night.
you
Yeah.
think people would rather have a inconsistent schedule if it meant they get more traditional hours versus like having a consistent schedule that's just with later evenings?
All
all the
day,
time?
every day. I talked
Okay.
to, yeah, they would all rather have like a fluctuating schedule where they only
Okay.
do 1 or 2 evenings, and then the rest of the days they would rather work the 8 to 5 or the 9 to 5. They prefer that all day, every day versus working every evening and being more consistent.
Okay.
So that's time and time again. So,
What about sometimes there's a talk about hiring part-time hygienists. What do you think about that when that
oh
topic comes
yeah,
up?
you've got to. There's no option, my friends. Yeah, if you want a
Walk us through
hygienist.
that.
Yeah, basically, it's simple. If you like, I guess my question is, do you want a hygienist? Like, do you really need a hygienist? Do you really, really, really need a hygienist? Are your patients booking out like months in later because you don't have a hygienist? Then you're gonna have to hire. Like, you're gonna have to start hiring part-time people, and continuously hire part-time to do like two full-time jobs. So if you have a full-time hygienist need, but you only find a part-time hygienist, I would probably take that right now because you're probably going to need to take what you can get. Remember, I would say about 8 or 9% of hygienists left this profession completely because of COVID, like completely
Wow.
left. So we're almost 10% short of hygienists. And remember, we were already short pre-COVID. So we were already short pre-COVID. Let's just say 9%, almost 10% left the profession. And I don't see them coming back. We originally talked about how they might come back once the unemployment checks stop, all that stuff. Not really seeing much traffic coming back, so we're really gonna like have to work with what we can get here, and that is going to be take what you can get. If a hygienist is available 2 days a week to work for you, like 2 random days, take it and start, training your front desk to work around their hours and book the patients accordingly. So that's my suggestion.
And so we talked about specialists, associates, doctors, and hygienists. What about like other staff? Like, is it you guys seeing just as much of a problem just with front desk and
Oh,
operations?
absolutely.
Let's call
Yeah,
associates. What do
assistants, front desk. I mean, the problem's all around, like, and you can see it, like, anyone who's listening to this podcast, every time you're driving, like, did you notice who's not hiring? I think the sad
Right.
thing is, like, I only see now hiring signs. Like, I don't see any other signs at all. Like, I don't even see any other advertisements. Like, even on bulletin boards, this place is hiring, this place is hiring, this place is hiring. So, I bet all the bulletin board companies and all them, they're probably making a lot of money right now with all these
Yeah.
stuff out
Yeah,
right now.
definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
so everyone's hiring in all positions, so it's all really hard. But Austin, one thing I will tell you is like my company, we are super forward. And this is why it's great to work for an organization like 42 North Dental. We are extremely innovative. And this is why I feel like any dental practice or whatnot, anyone that actually wants to, that's thinking about selling, that's thinking about, maybe affiliating, that's thinking about kind of eventually slowing down, you guys should join forces with a company like 42 North Dental. We are extremely innovative and we've got the right talent in play to make it happen. So, like this past year, I think it's so cool, Austin. We created something that we call OJT, on the job training, where we're basically training dental assistants. Or they're actually not dental assistants. We're training people that come from retail, people that come from the restaurant industry, people that come from healthcare that have never really like obviously assisted before in their lives. They're not a certified dental assistant. We're bringing them in. We're obviously paying them, so we are paying them for it. And they go through this massive training that we've created, this massive program. They come through with this massive program that we've created where they train hands-on with our dentists. They shadow them, they train with them, and they follow the exact amount of hours that you have to do. Like, we're a Massachusetts-based organization, so like in Massachusetts, if you do follow this criteria, you can actually like write a letter to the Board of Dentistry in Massachusetts to get that specific dental license. So the dentist can write a letter saying that, you know what, here's Priyanki Amroliwala. She trained with me for X amount of hours, and I feel like her skills are superior, so on and so forth, and then I can be certified. So that's what we're doing. Like, I think it's pretty cool. Like, we're elevating a lot of people that have never really thought about healthcare, because even becoming a dental assistant, it's not easy. It's a lot of money. You go through this massive training course or this training program. You have to quit your job. Like, you have to pay a lot of money for it. And then and it's the uneasiness. Like, what if you don't find a job? What if you don't pass those exams and whatever? So I think it's so cool cool that we're elevating a lot of different talent to kind of get them into this industry because, in the end, it is a very lucrative industry and it's pretty cool to wear scrubs to work every day. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I think, it's smart hiring people you mentioned from the hospitality industry because it's all about the patient experience and it's about the patient journey.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
in the same way that we talk about how do you make the employees feel, obviously you have to do that for the patients as they come in. Like you want to make them feel good and make them feel special. And so somebody
Oh,
who
yeah.
has, maybe they don't have the most technical background, right? Like you said, but if
Yeah.
they can make that person feel special, they can, engage with them and serve them, then yeah,
Absolutely.
pulling people from different places, I think is a really brilliant idea. And
Yeah.
kind of like last thing I wanted to talk about too is how are you guys handling virtual work and like staying at home? Because it's healthcare, so it's literally hands on, but not every job is hands on, and some things you can do at home. And so, how many people are they asking about remote work, like working virtually, and how do you guys accommodate for that?
Yeah. I mean, well, let's talk about for dentistry. Unfortunately, there's no remote work. Like you're drilling and filling, so all that stuff obviously still happens at the practice level. And the cool, I mean, I've never really had any issues with all that stuff, so that's good. Although during COVID, we did do a lot of teledentistry, which I thought was pretty cool. Um,
Hmm.
but
Did that stop, or is that still going on?
we still have it as an option. So like
Okay.
we still it's not like we shut down the button or whatnot. So we still have it as an option. So like anyone who's quarantined, who's not feeling well, who still has an emergency, like a dental emergency, we triage a lot of that stuff through teledentistry, which is pretty cool. Um, but yeah, like
That is
the
cool.
other employees that we're looking to hire, like for instance, like anyone, we have basically like a call center at our corporate headquarters in Waltham, Massachusetts. A lot of those employees, when we're looking to recruit, a lot of them want to work from home or they want to have a hybrid schedule. So we accommodate that. We're doing a lot of hybrid schedules right now, Austin. So
Okay.
same thing. We hired like a lot of operational folks, all that stuff. A lot of those people either want to be fully remote or then we give them as a hybrid option. So, nowadays, like, we just don't expect people to come into the office 5 days a week. I mean, there are some positions that are very lucrative where, like, it has to be there just because of specific interactions.
Yeah.
But other
Or
than
you
that,
can't drill a tooth, virtually.
yeah, exactly. So you just can't drill on a tooth virtually. Exactly. So that stuff is all in person. So.
Well, that's cool. Well, listen, this is great. I love podcasts like this. They're to the punch, short and sweet. Not that short, but like just filled with good content, like meat and potatoes and a lot of actionable steps that people can take and implement immediately. And so I definitely thank you for coming on and sharing everything. If people want to get in touch with you or learn more about what you guys are doing, what's a good way to do that?
Yeah, so definitely follow me on LinkedIn. One cool thing is there's one Priyanki Amroliwala on the face of this planet, so it'll be easy to find me. So definitely follow me on LinkedIn. I put out a lot of advice on like how to find a job and then also how to hire. In the healthcare dentistry space, but kind of like what you mentioned, when you are hiring, whether it's retail, restaurant, whatever, it's all the same thing. It's all the same ethics here in perspective. So feel free to follow me. Feel free to like, comment, and share on my material. That'll also help you get your name out there. Just because I've got over 14,000 followers on my LinkedIn. And
Nice.
then also, feel free to message me at any time. And again, I work for 42 North Dental. We're a great company. We're a great growing organization. We're definitely looking to hire talent all across the Northeast. And if you're also a dental practice owner that would like to kind of, potentially look to sell or affiliate, feel free to reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with the right people.
Fantastic. Well,
Yes.
it's been awesome. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll look forward to meeting you in person here at one of these events soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Austin.